In our last video, we looked at the issue of empowerment, ensuring that everybody in your organization not only feels empowered, but actually is empowered. And we saw that achieving empowerment comprises three moving parts. First of all, we've got the need for buy-in, that is for your folks to both understand and assent to what's going on, to major changes, major decisions that you make. And secondly, having the authority to both initiate and manage that change. And thirdly, the agency, that's the skills and resources to actually make it happen. Now, when those three are combined, that's where we have true empowerment throughout the organization. But in this video, I want to start looking at each of those three individual aspects, buy-in, authority, and agency, and answering the question, do we always need to have all of them in operation? And you may recall, in fact, that this whole discussion arose in the Predictable Success Mastermind group when we were talking about the first of these three circles, the whole issue of buy-in, achieving buy-in, and specifically trying to answer the question, to what extent is it important to make the effort to get buy-in from folks who aren't necessarily impacted by a specific decision or piece of information. They neither have authority nor agency. It's not something that they're directly involved in. To what extent do we need to, should we work at achieving buy-in from those individuals? Well, that type of buy-in is the buy-in that increases overall engagement throughout the organization. So it is important, the degree to which I understand what's going on around me, whether or not I'm, immediately impacted by all of it, the degree to which I do understand and assent to what's going on in the organization I work in, that's going to have a direct positive impact on my engagement, my discretionary effort, the degree to which I engage from day to day in what I'm doing. So it is important, but to what extent do we need to really push the boat out? Does this mean that we should be having an all-staff meeting for every piece of information, every decision that we make involving everybody in the organization? Well, the guide that I want you to think about in terms of to what extent do I, as a growth leader, engage in engagement, in reaching out and getting buy-in from people, can best be answered by putting yourself in their position and answering this question. To what extent would this information or this decision have impacted my original decision to join this organization? And you're obviously going to be on a sliding scale here, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So, let's say we're going to repaint the canteen. Well, that piece of information probably would have had zero impact at all on my decision to join the organization. Canteen walls are green, they're going to be painted blue, fine, knock yourself out. On the other hand, we're going to stop serving all day free snacks in the canteen. Would that have had an impact on my original decision to join the organization? Maybe a little. Maybe it would have been one of a number of factors, who knows? What about the fact that we're shutting down the canteen entirely? No more on-site refreshments, bring your own. Well, yeah, that, depending on my role in the organization, could well have had a pretty large impact on my decision. And fully rewriting the entire health and benefits for everybody in the organization probably impact a lot. Now, the various decisions that you make and are thinking about communicating are not all going to be about compensation, health and benefits and so forth, but you can use this prism for any decision that you've implemented as a team that you're thinking about communicating to the wider group. Just think about this. To what extent would that decision or new piece of information have impacted their decision to join the organization in the first place? If the answer is not at all, then you can provide that information on what I'm terming self-service availability. That means just putting it on a shared drive. If you use some sort of an email newsletter, you can put it in there. If you've got a chat channel that's used internally, maybe you'll put it up in there. you make the information available in a way that folks can see it. You're being transparent. You're putting the information out there. That all helps engagement. And if it's something that really has zero impact on me, that's all I probably need, is to know that if I want to know about stuff, I can go see it. If, on the other hand, this would have had, perhaps some sort of an impact on me and my decision to be here, then it's good to put it on that self-service availability, but also ping me with a push notification. You're familiar with, from your phone, what push notifications are. That's something that says, hey, this is something that you should come, don't miss this, come get this little piece of information. Still self-service, but we're pinging you and letting you know that it's good for you to know. If this is something that would have impacted me a lot, then that's where you've got to start engaging in-person group communications. Taking time, whether it's you or your managers or co-leaders or colleagues, to actually have an all-team meeting or an all-staff meeting, whoever it is, the group that would have been impacted to a great degree, that they deserve to be told in person. Now, that could be a Zoom session. It doesn't always have to be you standing on a chair in a physical room. Could be some sort of a web-based conference, but something that gives the facility for Q&A. And if the decision or new piece of information is something that would have absolutely impacted anyone's decision to be in the organization, they deserve additionally some in-person one-on-one, whether with you or with their direct manager. It depends on your org structure. Now, all of this builds from left to right. Everything that's non-trivial that you want to share should be available on a self-service basis using some process, some piece of software, some communication device, that you put everything there. And then on top of that, you add the push notification out to the people who you feel should be alerted to it. On top of that, you overlay the in-person group communications. And on top of those, then you take the folks aside who deserve the one-on-one time with you or with your colleagues. And so it builds from left to right. So that's really how to look at the degree of engagement you need to have in building engagement by communicating to people about information and decisions that doesn't directly impact them, where they have neither authority nor agency to do anything about it. In our next video, we're going to look at these two other categories under the buy-in circle. What about folks who have buy-in and authority but no agency, and folks who have buy-in and agency but no authority?